When the Riverside Resort was flooded in 2021, it was just absolutely devastating. We had 21 cabins on site that were all under a meter and a half of water, and the images we were seeing there were just absolutely heartbreaking. We had permanent residents, semi-permanent residents who were losing their homes or their holiday homes. We had, of course, all of the union-owned cabins as well. Once we got up there a couple of days after the flood waters had receded, the extent of the devastation was just mind blowing. It really was. Um, we we went into cleanup mode, and we had just an amazing response from the community. The people that came out and helped us clean up the park, the amount of mud to clean up was astounding. And then of course once we got everything cleaned up, the real hard work of rebuilding the park started, and oh boy, we just I don't think we had any idea what we were in for. We had insurance, thankfully, that covered the flood. The insurance company wanted to repair our existing cabins in place, and we knew from our from the flood that we had in 2013, and then again the one that we just had in 2021, that it was just a matter of time before the next flood came, and repairing them in place just wasn't a viable option in the long term. And we were right. In 2025, just this year in May, we had another flood come through. It wasn't quite as bad as the one in 2021, but if we had had all of our cabins repaired and in place, they would have been destroyed. And of course now we don't have flood insurance on the park. Nobody will insure us because of the ongoing flooding. So we've taken the long view, and we've been working with council and with Crown Lands to address some longstanding issues in the park and get to the point where we can install new cabins. The new cabins have to be 4.31 meters above basically the median high tide for the Hastings River there. And given the height of the ground level at the park, that means they have to be about 3 meters above ground level. So we've been working with structural engineers, with council's flood officer, with a lot of different people to figure out a way that we're going to have cabins. They're lifted about 3 meters off the ground. We've got parking underneath them and stairs leading up there, working on getting one or two of them to be accessible with a lift to make sure that that we're serving all of our members, even members that may have mobility issues. But the truth is, adding those stairs has been a really difficult task, because we're trying to replace like for like on the cabins and on the sites. But when you have a staircase that's 3 meters above the ground like that, it counts as part of the building envelope. It counts as part of the size of the structure itself, even if it's just stairs, even if they're on the side, even if they're not under a roof. They still count as part of what we call the building envelope. And cabins are required to be 2.5 meters apart. And once you add those stairs in on the side of them, they're no longer going to be 2.5 meters apart. And so we were working on moving them to the front of the cabin. We would have the parking come in from behind, and then you could walk around to the front and go up. And of course, the issue we ran into there is we've got the boundary that's the river there, and the regulations say that the building has to be 2 meters from that cadastral boundary, or that property boundary. And so we also have to be a meter offset from the road behind the cabins. And so between the meter in the back and the 2 meters in the front, there just wasn't enough length in the sites to put the cabins in place either. So we kind of stuck to this this plan, trying to get around it, working with council. Council has been really helpful in helping us explore some options, but obviously there are these really kind of concrete restrictions that we just can't get around. And so ultimately what we've ended up having to do is reduce the number of cabins that we're going to be putting into the site, but we have a really good plan now, where we've moved some of the cabins. We've overlapped a couple of cabins onto multiple sites, and their regulations say that you can have one cabin across multiple sites on in a caravan park, but you can't have multiple cabins across one site. So basically what that means is, if you've got 3 sites, you could have a cabin on site 1 and one cabin across sites 2 and 3, or you could have a cabin across sites 1 and 2 and another cabin on site 3, But what you couldn't do is split the difference between them and have one cabin across sites 1 and 2 and another across 2 and 3, because you would have those two separate cabins into site 2. And so, again, a lot of this is just they're very specific regulations. They're written in a very specific way, maybe not necessarily meant to apply to the situations that we're finding ourselves in. But we've got to respect that, and we got to deal with those regulations as they are. So we've moved a couple around. We've centered a couple over different sites, and so now we've got a really, really nice plan for 13 cabins. And in the next couple of weeks before the end of this year, we're going to get those applications into council, and in early 2026, we're expecting council to come back with approval, and then it's off to the races. So it's going to be a big process, but one that we're really excited to be getting more and more into. And 2026 is the year that we're pretty confident that we're going to have our cabins up and running and be able to return the Riverside Resort and Caravan Park to our members, and that's who run the park for. It's a benefit of membership, and obviously we're open to the public as well. But really, we want it to be someplace that our members are proud to go and have a holiday at, and that's what we're working to do. It's certainly taken a little bit longer than I think any of us had anticipated. But we did hit a number of roadblocks that we've worked through. We did have to replace a 1.8 meter retaining wall that runs, it's between 1.8 and about a meter tall, runs all the way around the length of the motel and the swimming pool. Before we put some cabins up against that, the previous retaining wall is probably 50 or 60 years old and hit end of life. So we've gone through that. It turns out that the block that the Caravan Park was on was about 5 or 6 different lots in the deposited plan. We had to consolidate those. We had to do a new water boundary determination with Crown Lands, because when the seawall was put in back in the 50s or 60s, that wasn't done properly. So a lot of these kinds of issues from before the union even owned the park, we're now addressing and getting squared away. What we're going to have soon is a park that's going to be set for the next 50 years, 60 years of union ownership and union use, and that's what really matters. We thank you for your patience, and we're looking forward to inviting all of you, all of the members of the union, back to the Riverside Resort and Caravan Park in 2026. And obviously the motel is still open, and it's a great spot for a holiday, and any members that are interested should go to riversideresortatport.com.au or give us a call and book.